Welcome to After School Democracy, the podcast that attempts to fill in the gaps you almost certainly missed in school about politics, economics, and history. Dear Bernie or Pete supporters, if you're all excited about your candidate getting the most votes and delegates in the primary, please hold your horses just a little bit and don't get your hopes up too high. In 2016, Hillary won the primary by 3 million more votes than Bernie, and didn't even need the superdelegates. If there had been some delusion that the elections or caucuses were rigged, all the candidates have people on hand as well as lawyers overseeing the vote count. If your candidate hasn't complained about that, then the election numbers weren't rigged. In this race, Hillary won a solid majority and didn't need the superdelegates. Once she passed the 50% delegate threshold, it was all over for Bernie. That said, there were only 2 viable candidates in that race, so it was a lot easier to get. This year, all the rules have changed because there are around 8 viable candidates. So first off, a candidate must get a solid majority over 50% of the vote. 538 currently has 2 in 5 chances of Bernie pulling that off. Not a great chance, but the best out of all of them. After that, Bernie or Pete could win the majority if the progressives or moderate candidates team up and give them their candidates. A bit better chance, but there is still a lot up in the air at the moment. And 538 doesn't have that working out, but it's currently a higher chance for the progressive wing. This is one of the reasons why Bloomberg jumped into the race and why Steyer joined the race to begin with. They're hoping to carve off enough votes off the moderates or undecided voters using legal campaign financing in ways just being a donor would be impossible, and then crown the winner they decide as king. The progressive side is Bernie, Warren, and Steyer, while the moderate side is Biden, Pete, Bloomberg, and Klobuchar. However, if even with coalitions no one can make a majority, they will go to a contested convention. If Bernie gets a plurality and the progressive wing beats the moderate wing, but they don't break the 50% needed to win, which 538 says is possible, Bernie won't be the nominee. All the delegates will vote in the first round, and no one will come out with 50%. In the second round, the superdelegates will get in and kill Bernie's chances even further. Then the delegates are unmoored, and they can vote for whoever they want, and there will likely be dozens more votes without a clear winner. Burners won't vote for moderates, which could kill Pete's chances if he's in the same situation. Moderates fear Bernie so much that moderates won't vote for Bernie, so almost certainly the winner will be Warren, as being the dark horse everyone can at least live with. This is a very roundabout form of ranked choice voting, and everyone's second or third choice will win, even though Bernie or Pete got a plurality win of 30 to 35%, but that means the 65 to 70% of the party still doesn't want or at least prefer them. This system allows a compromise that the majority of the party can at least live with. The definition of a good compromise is that everyone walks away unhappy. Sadly, people who don't understand how this works thinks their candidate was cheated, just like how the Republicans howled when the Democrat won the most second votes in Maine's 2nd congressional district that was historically red, but then got ranked choice voting, even though the Republican won the most first votes. This allowed multiple people to run and not split the vote. If someone is too extreme for the majority, but people agree with a lot of what that person has to say in a regular vote, they get all or nothing. There is no middle ground. If Bernie makes it to the general election, Americans would have 2 choices, the socialist or the criminal dumpster fire. Thanks to the propaganda, many will view them as equal evils and not show up to vote. You get one or the other and there's no middle ground. However, elections should be about ideas and not people, and if the 2 wings can't agree on an idea with the proportional delegate system and ranked choice voting systems, they can instead get an average of the ideas instead of more than half leaving mad who may not end up voting. If Warren can stay a solid third at least, and there is a contested convention, expect her to be the nominee. Pete and Bernie fans could be mad, but that's how the math works. So stop with a Bernie or bust and treating all the others on the progressive side as Hillary clones. You're just hurting yourself and preventing a unified coalition to prevent a contested convention. What you have to hope for is that Bernie makes, say, 40% and Warren and Steyer make about 5 to 10% each. But we'll see how this goes. This is why the news seems to set the bar so high for Bernie, and is often just compared to the moderates, especially since Warren and Steyer didn't do so well. The bar is set extra high for him because the majority of the party kind of hates him. Unless Warren and Steyer can do better, Bernie may not have a chance in hell of winning, even if he got the most votes total. So thank you so much for joining me on my podcast. I'm sure there was nothing controversial about this, and everyone will happily get along in the comments section, which you can do on the YouTube version of this video, or my Facebook page, After School Democracy. Link in the show notes. Just a reminder that I'm Anubis2814 on YouTube, and I have over 500 videos on different topics that I've made over the past 10 years. Please subscribe, and if your podcast site has the option, give me a like or review. If you think what I have to say informed you, consider supporting my Patreon. I'll be doing this podcast weekly and try to get it out on the same day, so I hope to see you here next week, ready to be filled with new ideas. Take care. This channel is helped tremendously by the generous supporters on Patreon. A big thank you to the wonderful Joe Taylor, Elias Garcia Guevara, and Ogrel for their support at the $10 a month Wapawet level. Please consider donating to my work if you can, and thank you all for listening.